Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. This is a channel where we talk about cricket, we talk about football, we talk about Arsenal specifically, and the transfer saga that's currently been hitting the markets. With me is Elroy, and in the bottom left corner of the screen is our Twitter handles. We are extremely active on Twitter, and if you have any kind of a feedback, let us know. Subscribe to our channel. Let us know what we are doing good. Let us know what we are not doing good, and we will be glad to improve on our content. Give us a shout out if you can. And with that being said, let's jump on to Arsenal. Hey, Elroy, welcome back.
Hey, Kayur. I see that your Twitter timeline is quite full these days with a lot of tweets with regards to the Arsenal movement and what's been happening around.
Um, on one hand, when I look at it, I feel that yes, we are being linked with good names, big names, decent names who have performed. And then when you take another step back and take a 50,000 feet view, what have we really changed in Arsenal? We have got two youngsters, one from a Belgium league and the other one from what other league is he from? But Lokonga and
From Portugal.
from
Portugal,
Portuguese league.
yeah,
And we are taking a step back with being linked to Jordan Henderson, Tammy Abraham. All these people who are from a club who finished above us, and they did not really use these players in the long run when they actually got there. So, do you really think
yeah.
progress is happening with Arsenal?
See, right now, obviously, no. Right now, it's like we are still, the players, the movements that have taken place, that is of Lokonga and Tavares, as we discussed last week in the last episode, were they are for the future and as squad options, no doubt. The main deals are going to take place now, and as you can see, a lot of rumors have started to come up now. As we discussed the other day itself, now you can see a lot of goalkeeper names being mentioned. Then you can see like strikers and attacking midfielder. This now the real business starts, like the actual business, which is going to involve improving the main first team squad, the first 11. Are they good moves? Some are good, some are bad, based on the links right now, but it remains to be seen. But yeah, overall, I would say it is a bit underwhelming if you see the names that are being linked to us. And that's why I just have that hope that Arsenal tend to sometimes surprise everyone. They'll end up signing a player whose name has never been linked with the media. So I'm just hoping for something like that. But right now, we will be talking about each case, of course, and there are some cases which make sense, some which don't make sense. We'll get to them. Yeah.
Now let's break it down. Let's go with the goalkeeper situation. In the
Yeah.
past 2 or 3 days, we have Ramsdale who's been linked with us. Now with Ramsdale, good goalkeeper, but a backup. Ended up with a team that's currently being relegated. Again, a name that we are associated with. A 30 million goalkeeper. The goalkeepers before this who have gone for something that high have been Kepa, have been Ederson, and the Liverpool goalkeeper. I can never remember his name.
Allison. Allison.
Allison. And the current goalkeeper that we have is something that we purchased for 17 mil, I think, a Bird Leno.
Yep.
And we are buying
Yes.
Ramsdale with the intent that he's going to be our backup. If I read this right, it means that Leno is going to be shipped out sometime either this
Yeah.
year or he's going to run his contract. And I don't think Ramsdale is going to just sit on the bench. We are buying a 30 million goalkeeper to just let him sit on the bench. How do you read it?
Yeah. So, to be honest, this is like a lot of people who follow me, you included, like, would see my displeasure with this move online. Like a lot of people. So last night, I put up a post where I told people, like, be a devil's advocate and tell me what are the positives in terms of signing Ramsdale. Of course, a lot of people did come up with a lot of positive replies. Many gave me. There is a good shout out to this. There's this YouTube channel called Latte Firm, and this guy he brought in a goalkeeper analyst, and they discussed Ramsdale as well. So a lot of there are positives, but let's break it down step by step. So first of all, let's talk about Ramsdale as a goalkeeper. He has played for Bournemouth and for Sheffield United. Both the teams got relegated, but I don't think relegation is something that you can judge him, because the teams were poor overall. You can't just say that the keeper was so. That is one point. But then again, he's is he what type of a goalkeeper is he? He's a good shot stopper. He's definitely a good shot stopper. And if he was not a good shot stopper or not a good goalkeeper as such, he wouldn't have been selected as the third or fourth choice for England. That's for sure. Now, so these are a few things that he's a decent goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. But for instance, a couple of things that go against him. First of all, I remember last year when Sheffield United signed him from Bournemouth. I was listening to the T4 podcast, and the T4 guys were quite disappointed with that move. First of all, Sheffield United paid 20 million for him, which is a lot for a goalkeeper, and everybody thought that was absurd. You're paying that 20 million for a keeper who's not even like, he's not even in the top half of the Premier League that you're paying 20 million for a keeper. And there were a lot of reservations with him being someone who's not the most commanding in the box. Like, he how does he handle like high crosses, or a lot of factors were there which people were a bit hesitant with him. Okay, leaving that aside, now comes the main points which worry me. We as a club have been looking at someone like Onana, and one of the reasons I was very very excited about Onana was, one, he is brilliant with the ball at his feet. While playing out from the back, he's the kind of goalkeeper that you need. His distribution also was superb. Now, Ramsdale has been playing for a club like Sheffield United, which has mainly played long balls. Yes, his distribution, from what I gather, has been quite good because of the long ball. But how good is he while playing out from the back? Tomorrow, you pass the ball pass the ball to his feet. How is he going to handle it? Is he just going to hoof it up, or is he going to make some smart passes, or be comfortable with it? Because it's just that from the last, ever since Arteta has taken over, there's been such a we've been stressing so much on the goalkeeper who can play out from the back. People criticize Leno a lot, and rightly so, because Leno has had a couple of icky movements, while playing out from the back. People praised Martinez a lot, and because Martinez was really really good at playing out from the back, his distribution as well as the way he played out from the back. Now, is Ramsdale that player? My point is, there's no evidence right now. He's played for a team which has a completely different style. So how are we going to, if we have been stressing so much on playing out from the back, how is, what evidence does it say that Ramsdale is going to do that? Maybe he can be coached, but that is quite a risk. And the coaching factors comes into picture, but then comes the second point. You're paying 30 million for him. Okay, there are rumors that the 30 million is not a correct figure that is being quoted. But for me, even if you're paying more than 20 million for Ramsdale, is quite a bit. Like, even if first of all, 20 plus million for a backup keeper is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Second, as you said, he is definitely Leno is definitely leaving either next summer or maybe this summer, but there's no link to him leaving this summer. So if Leno leaves, is he? Do you? How many people are actually confident that Ramsdale could take over Leno from the number one spot? I think if you ask this question to most of the fans, and I know obviously it is from a fan's point of view, and we don't actually have the data or the, what the club sees, but it just feels like a very very underwhelming option for a very very crucial position in the squad. So that is my
Absolutely,
overall
I do
take on
agree with you,
this.
and I have nothing against Ramsdale. He
Yeah,
may be a
exactly.
good keeper, but 30 million for a keeper in this market when we have other places to plug in seems a little
Exactly.
absurd. And the other
Yeah.
point that I personally feel was that, considering, let's take a step back and think about uh, Bayern's goalkeeper, uh, Neuer. Neuer
Yeah.
is old. Neuer is 34,
Yeah.
35 now. Maybe Leno is eyeing that position. We don't know. And Leno will be glad to sit as a second in Bayern,
As a
who are
second choice. Yes. True.
in three or four different cups. Just
Yeah.
because, it's like when you look at India and Mumbai Indians, if you play for Mumbai Indians, you get a better chance to be picked for the national team.
Yes.
Same is the case with
Yeah.
Germany. If you're playing for Bayern, you will be at some level representing the nation.
True.
So
That
maybe that
that
is
is
also the intent that Leno has.
yeah.
And
True. That is
I would
definitely a
personally
possible.
not be too sad if Leno leaves. Quite honestly, he
Exactly.
has.
Yes.
But I feel that yes, you're correct that we would probably be missing Onana if he's available. Rather put a 7 million on Onana and then get somebody else. The other point that
Yeah.
I had was, what is the guarantee that he's going to come down to us, to Arsenal? Ramsdale is going to come to Arsenal and improve. Because if that was the case, Runnerson would have improved. And clearly,
Exactly.
if you cannot improve an international goalkeeper, then what is
Yeah.
our coach and staff, co- coaching staff doing? So
No,
that for
that's
me
a very
is
important
a
point.
question.
So
But let's move on from Ramsdale. Let's see what
no,
happens there with that market.
I just want to put a couple of 2 points to this. First of all, Sheffield United bought him last season for 18 million or so. So there's no way that they're selling him for anything below 20. That is just obvious, and especially with the fact that he's been called up for England, there's no way that he's going to be sold for less than 20. And that alone should, and 20 is the bare, if 20 is the bare minimum for Ramsdale, that is really frightening. And the second point for me is if we spend anything more than 20 million on Ramsdale, who's going to be maybe like a second choice keeper or whatever you may want to term it, if we do that, and considering that we've already spending like say 50 million for Ben White, if these two things actually happen, I would say all the further transfer news that we are going to be talking about, like even someone like say 35 million for Neves or like 50 million, 60 million for Maddison, these deals have a higher chance of happening because I don't see Arsenal spending so much on a backup keeper if they would not be spending on in other areas. So that is one thing that we will have to watch out for. And till then, yes, let's talk about the rest
Agreed.
of the
I do agree.
players.
Now, moving on to the other one rumor that is picking up, it's got too many legs in the last few days. That's Maddison. And
Yeah,
Maddison and Ashley Maitland Niles and 55 million for Maddison. That means that you are actually rating Ashley Maitland Niles at just 5 million because Maddison was
yeah,
available for 60. I think that is a massively stupid move
yeah,
if that those rumors are true. I would definitely rate Ashley Maitland Niles a little higher than 5. And especially if Bellerin is asking for a transfer,
definitely.
you know that you have Ashley Maitland
Yeah,
Niles who has proven himself as a right back and he has had decent stats. I know that he doesn't want to play there, but you know what? Let him run the contract rather than sell him for 5 million. Let him run the contract for 2 years, play him as a right back, and I believe that you will get his value a lot more worth that way.
yeah.
How do you see
I
it?
think I think when it comes to Niles, it's a different case because Niles is, I think, hell bent upon not playing as a fullback. He sees himself as a central midfielder and he doesn't want to bulge because one of the things that Leicester wanted him in January, but one of the reasons he didn't choose Leicester and another club was because both of them, these clubs wanted him as a fullback, and Niles wanted to be a central midfielder, and that is purely the reason why he chose West Brom. So in that sense, I it's going to be difficult to convince Niles to play in that role, that's for sure. But if he stays, then obviously he has no choice. The coach tells him he's going to do that. Now coming to Maddison, Maddison is a deal which I was very very skeptical about, like really really skeptical about. I just thought that it's going to take something out of the blue to, but and we spoke about it this day before when we caught up and we said that I said that it's not going, it's difficult to happen. But now over the last 2 days itself, I would say my stance has definitely changed. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but there is a higher chance of it happening right now is what I feel. Multiple reasons for that. First of all, as I said, if we are ready to spend 20 plus million on the likes of Ramsdale, clearly shows that we have money to spend in the other position, and these other positions are important, or like way more important than a backup goalkeeper. So the fact that we are ready to spend 20 million on Ramsdale is just an indication that we are ready to splash the cash in the other areas. I hope I'm correct, because if we are wrong, then it just shows how stupid the club could be, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are not. So that is the first point. But this is, yeah, obvious. The second point is, like, over the last couple of days the news has come out. You should realize one thing. For instance, when AFC Bell, when he tweeted about Maddison, not a lot of people started to, go all out and say that, okay, nobody wrote articles saying that Arsenal are after Maddison. It took some time, but now the articles have started to come up. Notice one thing, that when these articles come up, there is a reason behind it. Either maybe Arsenal are making, feeding that information, or maybe Leicester feeding that information, or maybe the agent is feeding that information. But the fact that that information is being fed outside shows that there is some truth to it. And today, for instance, there is one particular site which has come up saying that Leicester are okay with letting Maddison go for the right price. And as we have discussed previously, there seems to be some issue between Maddison and Brendan Rodgers, or with Leicester in general. I mean, and I think there was some disciplinary issues and some other things that took place because he didn't feature a lot in the second half of the season. And anyone can correct me if I'm wrong there. So that shows that there is a chance. So but the final thing will come down to agreeing the deal. Like Maddison, the rumors are that he will be ready to join Arsenal. I mean, at the end of the day, Arsenal is a club that it's very difficult to say no to, because the London factor, the brand of the club, it's still massive, irrespective of how we are. People would want to join that, and at the end of the day, if you're going to be paid well, I mean, who would say no to that? So agreeing
I
with
do
Madison,
agree.
agreeing a deal with Leicester, and if there is some acceptance, from Leicester, based on the rumors that have come up right now, which show that indicate that there could be a willingness towards them from them. Now, whether it's a swap or whether it is straight cash or whatever remains to be seen. But I'm just saying, based on the current rumors, although no one extremely reliable has reported it, but the way they have been reporting it feels like this does have legs, and this is one move we will have to keep a very close eye on in the next 2 weeks.
We will keep my fingers crossed. Madison, always impressive. I wouldn't question his abilities with the ball. Uh, it's just if Arsenal has cash and if Arsenal is willing to splurge. I always, I wore this
Yeah,
Italy jersey today, and while I was wearing this, I was thinking about it that why is it that we have never been able to find a player like Pirlo or a player like Verratti or a player like, somebody who just stays in the midfield and you can count on them every single time you go out there that,
yeah,
yeah, he's going to give us a 9 out of 10 performance. His worst is 7 out of 10. We have not been able to find that kind of a player. I think
yeah.
the last consistent player we had was Santi and maybe Alexis to a certain levels. But it's never like that one midfield Marshall who controls everything. And I hope
Midfielder,
whoever comes in,
yes, yeah.
uh, if it's Maddison, if it's whoever it is, we hope they are able to take the game up to that levels. But moving on to the other filling positions that we have been looking at these days, the one that's Bellerin has requested a way out, and I
Yeah,
think he's going to go. I think we are just waiting for the
yeah,
right amount of cash, or maybe the
true.
deal is done, and we are just
Yeah,
keeping it under the wraps while we keep looking for other players. But there's
yeah,
also Max Aaron's situation that's coming out there for the right back position,
yeah.
and we did talk about it in the last show that right back is the position that we are least worried about because we have enough fillers there for now. So we can wait for that or hang on to that till
Yeah,
Jan. How do you see it
yeah.
now that Bellerin has concretely said that he wants out?
So my stance is still the same. Like we would have to, along with Bellerin, we would have to let go of someone else. See, don't get me wrong. I would love an upgrade. Like how we have Tierney on the left flank. If we get an equivalent attacking and defensively solid right back, nothing like it. It will overall improve our game for sure. But then it's going to be difficult to just get someone in and see, first of all, we are not even in the Europa League, so we are automatically short of a lot of games, which shows that we cannot go into a season where if with three right backs. So even considering that Bellerin goes, we would have to get rid of someone like Cedric or Chambers, say, or unless Chambers is playing as a center back. But then again, if Chambers plays as a center back, we are again with five center backs. So like it's not a balance equation. So like, how are you going to do this? My only concern thing is that Chambers ended the season well, had quite a few good games as a right back, and he can play there. He's not the best, but he can play there. If I mean, if Arsenal do have the cash and they do manage to let go of players, then fair enough. Like someone like Max Aaron, we would be welcome. But I still feel a bit skeptical about us completing the right back spot. If we get it, nothing like it. But I just feels that it feels like it's too much of work to be done, because getting certain other players out of the squad and getting certain other positions in is way more important right now as compared to that right back spot.
There is also that possibility that Ashley Maitland Niles, who was one of the right backs that we were talking about, could also be on his way out. So
True.
we
Yeah.
are losing two right backs now. We still have Cedric, we have Chambers,
Yeah.
and possibly Ben White, who can fill that position if needed. But let's hope.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, let's just hope those things settle down as well. Now coming back to taking a step back as a club, we have Tammy
Right.
Abraham and we have Jordan Henderson, two players who did not really feature in
Yeah.
Chelsea's march to the trophy and eventually winning it, or Jordan Henderson, who was pretty much
Yeah.
benched because
Liverpool.
Liverpool doesn't seem to like him anymore. Liverpool have found better players in that position.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about those?
So let me start with Jordan Henderson. So Henderson rumor is something I don't want to believe right now. It's just one Sky Sports rumor that has started and nobody has caught on to that. Nobody has mentioned anything else. I think that again is just a lazy journalism, or just his agent putting it out there so that he gets a deal somehow. Because look, if we are letting go of someone like Xhaka to replace him with Henderson, Henderson is good. Don't get me wrong, but he already has edge against him right now, and he's already facing quite a few injury problems. He's not the kind of player we have to look for in the center mid. Now, if we get another really good central midfielder and say we get Henderson over that, maybe you would say, okay, fine, that's okay, like to make sense. But if he is someone like the Xhaka's replacement, that is not what I would want. That is a big no for me. Like Henderson is quality, but he's just not the type of a player we would need right now. And knowing Arsenal, you know that Arsenal have a very, very bad record of buying these older players from our rival clubs. So I would prefer if we don't go down that path. Now, talking about Tammy Abraham, like I was trying to make sense out of this as well. Which see, Tammy Abraham, yes, he's not in Tuchel's plan. That is there, Tuchel's plan, but he's a good player. He's a decent player. He's a decent goal scorer. He had a very good season under Lampard. When he, or even a couple of seasons he played well. Even last season he did well. I mean, obviously he stopped playing once Tuchel came into picture. He's a player who has certain attributes which we could use. But see, for me, we go for to get Tammy Abraham in two cases. One is either if Laka as well as Nketiah leaves. If these two leave and we get Tammy, I would say not bad. The reason why I say not bad is because yes, 40 million for him is way too much. I'm completely against the price, but then that's the problem when you're buying any English player right now. Or maybe that can be worked upon because he has just 1 year left on his deal, and with 1 year left on his deal, 40 million is a big no again. Now, but if I have to make sense of the deal as such, remember one thing, that Laka is on his last year of his contract. This is going to be his most likely be his last year at Arsenal. So we either cash in on him now or we let him go end of the season for free. I don't see us offering him another contract. Aubameyang is into his second year from his deal, if I'm not mistaken. So he has another year after this. So if you look at it this way, come the end of next season, not the coming season, the season after next, we are again in a situation where we will lack a good experienced goal scorer. No doubt, come the end of this current upcoming season, we could invest in that. So, and see, the likes of Balogun, is he ready? We don't know yet. We are yet to see a full flow of him that way. If he turns out to be good, nothing like it. But if he is not ready yet, we still have a gap. So it all depends. Like if Laka goes and maybe Balogun is not ready, we'll just have Aubameyang in the center forward role. So in that way, it makes sense to get someone like Abraham and get someone like him, and maybe he improves from there because he's 23 at the end of the day. He's still very young for a striker, and his career path is going to get just improve from here on. Hopefully it doesn't go down the wrong path. So it's like in terms of long-term planning, it does make sense because in 2 years' time we will be without Laka. 1 year's time we'll be without Laka, and 2 years' time we'll be without Oba, and then if we will be back to square one, searching for a good proven goal scorer. So if we get someone in right now and we can get them started that way in terms of like being a main striker for the club, I mean it makes sense. But again, we've not had a good record from buying from Chelsea, that is there. And 40 million is definitely a no. So if the price is less and Laka and Eddie leaves, I could make sense that we go for him. If not, I think we should stay away.
I would be more than glad to do that 40 million if Chelsea has this clause that they will take million back. And if they do that, I'll give them 40 million plus million, and yes, we will take Tammy Abraham back from you. But
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
what else do we have to talk about today? I think we did
No, I
cover
think
all the.
yeah, I think the short thing that we can touch up upon is it's quite upsetting to see that I'm not upsetting, but Arsenal are not going to be traveling to the US, so that has been quite a bummer for a lot of the US fan. But then again, it shows it's a bit naivety from the club, in my opinion, that at a pandemic time like this, they decided to have such a preseason match where a lot of clubs have taken the safer route and just planned preseason tours around itself. That was the smarter move for me, and it was too risky to have a US tour. And now the problem is this does derail not derail completely, but does end up being a major setback. So the club have to now look for a behind closed doors friendly, and I hope they do get it. But then it's a it's not the ideal situation to be in right now.
For me, I look at the positives that maybe there is a high possibility that we don't injure any players on the tour. And
True,
some club
definitely.
comes in and realizes Willian is not as bad and come and take it from us. But I mean, I all my focus is right now. I would say that this may be a good transfer window, even if we let some of the dead weight off. Like I
Yes,
understand
true.
that we are not going to create miracles this season. Just getting
Yeah,
back into Europe at the end of the season would be a step up.
true.
But I
And
would be glad if we get rid of some of the dead weight.
in fact, when now the good that you touched upon this fact, and I had a discussion with someone on Twitter today as well. It's like we are struggling to get rid of a lot of players, and there's a reason to it. Outside of England, none of the other clubs in Europe have the money to pay to buy have big money to pay for our players. So that is why you see a lot of loan deals are still taking place, because no fans in the stadiums yet. People have been affected. The clubs have been affected financially quite a bit. So that alone is quite a massive hit. So then our only option is selling within England, and within England it clearly seems that nobody rates our players that much. There are very
Oh
few
God,
players
no.
who are rated, and that is another issue we are facing. So this is where for me Edu earns his money. Yes, obviously buying players is important, but how he sells is going to be very, very important, especially when you compare it to the way Chelsea have been selling their players who've had like one good season on loan, or like just 2 or 3 appearances for their club, and they've been selling them off at a really, really good fees. This is where Edu, in my opinion, needs to be earning his money, where he has to be very smart in the way he lets go of the players that we have.
So for me, I completely agree with you that yes, the market in Europe is really poor. Like one of the rumors that I heard this morning was that Sassuolo is willing to do 8 to 10 million down for now
Yeah,
Locatelli with a option to buy at the end of the year,
yeah,
and that would be 25 million, summing it up to 35. But they want the cash and they want to get rid of
yeah,
Locatelli, which if they are that cash strapped, but I'm pretty sure the player is putting his foot down saying I don't want to go to England,
yeah.
and maybe that is the
So
only thing that's stopping him from coming here.
true, true. That's definitely the case. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm just fed up of that full story, and I want to see the end of it. I just want Arsenal to move on to their main targets and just give up on that Locatelli thing, unless it's actually there is a strong possibility. But based on the rumors, it seems very difficult to happen. So let's just move on from there.
All right. Well, then on that note, and just a quick good update, it's just 707 days more for Willian to go. On that, that note, we will see you guys tomorrow. So, guys, if you have come this far, if you have watched us over the period of time, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Once again, we are extremely active on Twitter, and our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom of the screen. Reach out to us. We will be glad to work on the content. And wherever you guys are, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank. All right. Oh,